Hello, Internet, and thank you very much for tuning into the Cloud Native FM podcast. Today is February 6th, 2025, as I'm recording another episode with another guest. And my guest is special today because I've spent last few years on another YouTube channel that's Cloud Native Islamabad, and that we actually do hosted one of the most my favorite workshop on there as well around Kubernetes as well. And during that time, I remember he's working on some side project behind the scene, and I want to express my deep appreciation for the incredible work my guest has done as of now with iximiuz lab and playground. He have created fully created something truly unique, a browser-based environment where everyone from beginner to experienced engineer can get hands-on experience with container, Kubernetes, DevOps tools, CI/CD pipelines, observability, and I believe there's so much more planned ahead. The depth and breadth of interactive learning you have enabled made a huge impact on the DevOps and cloud native community. It's inspiring to see how this playground has evolved into an extensive resource providing practical learning opportunities for countless engineers worldwide. So I'm excited today to dive into your journey, motivation, and vision for the future for iximiuz Lab. With that long but very important message for everyone, let's go straight to my guest of this time, Ivan Volichko. Over to you, Ivan. Thank you very much for joining us today.
That was the most flattering introduction I ever had. But I appreciate it and thank you for having me today.
Wonderful. I think, as I mentioned, we did a workshop on Cloud Native Islamabad back in the last few years, and you were working on your side project. And I was asking you all the time on the Twitter DMs and other places, Ivan, what is going on? But luckily, as of today, everything rolled out. It's in GA. People are using it. I know a huge spike of traffic, and let people know this that I have already used this playground for one of the workshop I have done. I have did for a telcos provider in my region, and there are 10, 12 engineers at that time, and the experience was very smooth. So tons of appreciation for Ivan for putting up this hands labs environment for everyone, for us. But Ivan, usually when I speak about something new, some project, some tooling, something new appearing on the community, the usual question comes to my mind: what's motivated you to work on this side project is now become a very important tool for everyone in their arsenal?
That's a great question. Well, you probably know I've been blogging, doing technical blogging for a while. I think I started actively blogging in 2019, so it's been already like 6 years, I think. And then after doing this for a few years, at around like 2021 or something, I realized that just pure textual format is not enough to actually give people that experience I actually wanted to deliver. I always tried to augment my blog posts with instructions how you could reproduce the things. Let's say it's a Docker puzzle or a Kubernetes cluster I'm digging into, and I wanted to give people reproducible instructions so they can actually do these steps that I cover in the tutorial, let's say, or in my exploration blog post on their own. And it used to work more or less, especially before all these ARM machines became widely popular. It was easier. You could run something like Vagrant locally and spin up a virtual machine and do all the things you wanted and then shut it down and call it a day. But then Vagrant kind of became much less useful for developers, especially on Macs. And my blog posts also started showing much more advanced scenarios. So I figured I would try to actually build something that I would be able to embed, if you like, on my blog next to my textual and visual explanation of the topic, and people would be able to, like in a traditional web terminal kind of experience, access this playground. It could be a vanilla Linux playground, or maybe a vanilla K3s playground, like a cluster, or it could be something much more baked when it starts as a vanilla cluster, and then a Helm chart is installed and some other services are launched, and then it all works together. And this gives you the starting point, and this gives you not just you, but you and 100 other readers an identical starting point. And this allows the author of the blog posts to actually target and explain the ideas in a much more precise way, because then you are assuming an identical starting point, you are given instructions what to do next, and then you maybe even put a check, like a dynamic background check that highlights a certain block on the page when this particular command is executed. So this allows kind of a next level of tutorials, if you like. So I figured I would try building it, and took me a couple years, but I think I succeeded.
In 2022 or 2023, beginning of 2023, or maybe but earlier that day, I had begun following you, and on that time, I think Kubernetes was quite extensively complex. And I see some of your blog posts. It's very comprehensive, very detailed, and it has some wonderful visual diagrams as well. And I tons of appreciation. I think last time 2023 I tweeted like, if someone asks me what are the top 10 blog of the year, so I choose all of them from the iximiuz website as well. So it's been very detailed, much appreciated your effort on this one as well. But the lab experience on itself is very important, because being content creator like me and other, sometimes we don't have a sandbox environment we can install all the plumbing dependencies required to experiment with the stuff. Now I go into the iximiuz lab. It's given us a pre-packaged solution or pre-packaged environment. I now can test a new release of Kubernetes, new release of containerd, or new release of something else like Dagger. I see Linux, some K3s clusters. There's so much, and I believe this has to be expanded in the near future. And as that's my prediction, and it's quite easily be expanded. Now, the one other question I want to learn from you is how many active user do you have today?
That's that's kind of tricky to answer, because I can for sure tell you, and it's actually a public number. If you go to the front page of iximiuz Labs, you will see like a page with a bunch of numbers on it, and one of them says it's actually a nice round number, just turned a couple days ago. It's 18,000 of signed up students, which is an incredible number, I would say, especially for it might be not that big for a massive online education platform, but for an indie project with a single developer behind it, I think it's an incredible number. How many of these users are actually active? Definitely not all of them, because a significant fraction of the traffic that I'm getting is from Google, and people are just, looking, how can I launch a container with containerd, for instance, and then they end up in my like tutorial about containerd, and some of them sign up to just try running all these commands in the browser, but then that's it. Like, they just don't return, which is totally fine. They got what they wanted, they signed up to try it out, and never returned. No problems with that. And at the same time, I know that every month there is at the moment around 1,500 of active so-called play users. So those are people who actually launched at least 2 playgrounds and spend some time, well, experimenting, learning, or actually practicing, because of these playgrounds, that's like the second effect. well, we can talk about this later, but they're actually useful beyond the learning context. I use them daily for my daily job, for instance, to just experiment with Docker or run some fishy workloads from the internet in the safe playground. But getting back, 18,000 of registered users, around 2,000 of active users a month, and then some couple hundred of playgrounds a day. And it's growing, by the way. I share from time to time, I share these charts, and they are looking pretty nice. It's not exponential yet, but the growth there is pretty nice.
Absolutely. These are the very good number for the project completed, created, and planned by only one person, and that is Ivan. So that is a very it's actually you need to I think this is a very wonderful feedback you can call it or something like it's a very important to see how many people are using it. I am one of the user who've been daily experimenting new stuff with it. I think today experiment with the Dagger as well. Some of the work, some of the playground, understand how the Dagger work as well. So it's went very smooth as well. So 18,000 is a very good number. I think it's been incredibly good. So even though some platform have approached these number quite, they required a lot of time to reach that number. But the progress is so much fast, and that's where I need to ask question like this: how much money you have spent creating this platform, or how it's all stood up? What are the technology you have been using behind the scene to give us an experience that is just a browser base?
Oh, that's another tricky question. I think the answer would greatly depend on if you count my time as money or not. If you don't, then I know the number, like the exact number for the last year, because it's the tax period, or like at the end of the taxing period over here in the Netherlands. So I'm preparing all this declaration stuff, and I just actually wrote it down. It was slightly more than 12,000 euros to run this platform last year. So I put out of my pocket this money. Like 50% of this is the infrastructure bills. It's the bare metal servers, the managed database, the front-end servers. Yeah, and another 50% is all sorts of subscription services like the email service and the tax consulting company and so on.
Awesome. This is huge. This is huge. Like 12,000 to give an experience like just a one click. I go into the K3s, start, and boom, everyone's set up. It's a huge number. I think I need to think around it and listen to other podcasts as well. If somebody, an indie project, have spent such amount of money in their project, that I need to actually revisit as well. But tons of appreciation for the project in itself, because all of the money has been spent is been greatly appreciated by the community as well. And I want to learn more plans from you. And that's where my next question is: what is the future of the iximiuz lab? Let's say if I am an individual, or if I'm a part of the company, or if I'm part of the open source project, how would I contribute to give you some money back for the incredible work you have put forward for all of us?
So what's I'm trying to pull off here is to make it my primary source of income, and at the same time primary place of employment. So yes, I spent around 12,000 euros last year on running this platform, but also the platform has a paid subscription. So if you want to become a premium member, the prices range widely depending on your region. I think the base is like 12 bucks a month if you are somewhere in the US, but for the rest of the world, it's usually lower. I think at the moment I have around 500 paying users, which is another incredible number, like 500 people actually, and some of them got the thank you. And some of them got the lifetime access, which is another kind of deal. Let's say it's an early bird deal I'm still offering, where you can get the lifetime access for $250 undiscounted, unless you're somewhere outside of the US. So some fraction of these people got the lifetime access. Some other actually use it as a subscription service, and they pay either monthly or yearly. And all these people collectively, I appreciate it a lot. It was around 50,000 euros of revenue last year, which is much higher than what I spent on the platform. So what I did, actually, I reinvested all this money back into the development of the platform. I didn't put this into the infrastructure or anything. I simply took time off, unpaid time off, and I spent last year in 2024, I spent, I think, at least a quarter, or even actually more than a quarter, on unpaid leaves developing the platform. I shipped quite a few fundamental features that took the platform to a different level of user experience. But also I put significant amount of effort and time into content work, because most of the content on the platform is still mine. There are more and more people authoring content. This is great. I love it. But still, the main author on the platform is just me. So the more time I can put into it, the more content we will see, and the more features, of course. So answering your question about the future, I hope we will have more content. That's my current focus. And we'll have also more features, because, again, these playgrounds, they started as a way to augment the blog posts, but they actually turned it into something potentially even more useful than the like learning playgrounds. What I see is actually at least 60% of these playgrounds are started by people in so-called standalone mode. So it's not a playground attached to a blog post or a course or a challenge. It's just people using them either to experiment, or maybe to run something for their work, or maybe someone just doesn't have a powerful enough machine, or they need to run something on AMD and they have an ARM laptop. They're being used. And another nice round number the platform is approaching at the moment is 100,000 of virtual machines that were launched on the platform over the past 2 years.
That is quite a number, absolutely. And might want to see some blog posts around that as well, because 100,000 Williams, that is insane. This is one hell of another experience as well. And also, I think it's a great appreciation from the community that 18,000 turned into the 50,000, and now the 50,000 turned back into the platform to make it more extensible, more user friendly, and more enhancement in the plan as well. As of today, if I go into your website, iximiuz.com, labs.iximiuz.com/playground, I can see the category around Linux, containers, Kubernetes, networking, programming, observability, security, and CI/CD. So my wish is for something I want around WASM. I hope in the near future there is something around WASM as well. And also, there's something I want to definitely see is GitOps, Argo CD, or some Flux CD. That is something I need to hear about it as well. But I hope this is, I know this is already been planned. This will be just a time when actually will be roll out as well. And might be some other key areas like service mesh in journal. It has a good topic to be added in this. But do share what you want to see in this lab environment on the YouTube comment section, or wherever you watching from, that's where the Ivan will pay attention to and make sure those capabilities are available in the platform anytime soon in the near future. So Ivan, just final few question. Number one, you already discussed some of the things around membership or membership program, or how people, or premium feature, partnership, or training program as well. We talk about it, how much the money you spend, how much you earn. Now, the next final question is that if I am a content creator, I need to create a course on, let's say, some of the different technologies. Give us a few hints. And in the near future, I will plan a dedicated workshop with you so you can give us a roadmap and guide of how we can use your platform for our best needs. But the one today's question is also solely around content creator. If they look at it, they pay attention to, if they are creating some courses, how would they approach about, and then you can actually help them creating some workshop so they can use for their courses.
So actually, you asked about the Wasm playground, right?
Yes.
Or a GitOps playground. And this is one of the biggest feature I shipped in 2024. It's called custom playgrounds. So as a content creator or just a person who is going to a conference and want to have a demo there without praying to demo gods and actually being afraid that their laptop would crash or anything, you can go to the iximiuz labs/playgrounds, and right in the middle of the screen, there is a button. It's called Create a New Playground. So if you click on it, you would need to select a base playground. It could be any out of these 30 playgrounds that are currently available. And then you can customize it using an approach similar to Cloud init scripts, where you can run an arbitrary bash or shell script or multiple of them. And it will set up the playground for you, and then you will be able to save it and then share it either publicly or with a limited set of users. Of course, you can create a private custom playground for yourself, which is also a great option. But if you are a content creator and you are working on a blog post, and this blog post is not on iximiuz Labs, but somewhere on your own blog, you still can benefit from iximiuz Labs, because you can go create this customized playground and then embed it into your blog post. And then it's like the same experience, but with your own flavor. At the same time, if you want to author content on iximiuz Labs itself, it's also possible. I'm not really advocating for it just yet. There are already a few pieces of public content. For instance, there are 2 challenges created by, let's say, individual contributors, and then there are 3 very new tutorials about kubeblocks. It's a project to manage all things databases on top of Kubernetes. I am happy to actually publish these tutorials when people create them on the platform. But what is more actually actively used is some private content that people use for internal workshops. This content is not listed in the public catalog of tutorials or challenges on the platform, but it does exist. And if you know the URL and if you have the right permissions to access it, you can, let's say, you can conduct a workshop, like an internal workshop, where people will have, again, an identical starting point and an identical set of instructions to follow. And this is actually super helpful because usually on your team, there is 30% of people using Windows, another 30% of people using Linux, and some other people using macOS, all use different versions, and just bringing them all to a common ground and installing, I know, an identical Kubernetes setup for all of them is a nightmare. But you can go to iximiuz Labs, you can install our labctl, which is a CLI tool that helps you use the platform, but it also helps you author content. and then you run something like kubectl content create tutorial or kubectl content create even course if you feel so, and it will generate a local sample content. You then can edit it and again run another kubectl content push in the background, and it will be synchronizing all your local files with a remote content storage, and the browser will be refreshed automatically every time you make a change in your local file. So it's pretty polished, let's say, author experience, and I'm happy to offer it to all my users.
These are some very important and some wonderful news for all of the content creators as well, because if the playground is already been available, and if you wish to add something new, you have some CLIs that you can play with or you can create what you are working on and what your user base you're targeting for the project. So that's a very, very good news as well. But I kind to tend to recap as well because there is so much in the platform that unfortunately we haven't had time to cover it today. But that is our next plan is to have a as is to ask Ivan to come back in Cloud Native Islamabad YouTube channel and give us a full guided tour of hands on how to play with SimWorks, tutorial courses, challenges, skill path, playground, or how to create some new content that if that's already not been existed. So if you go into the lab.iximiuz.com, you can see there are tutorials. You can build container images like a pro, copy container images like a pro. These are the skill path you can click on. There are tutorials and there are challenges that you need to solve. When you solve, you actually have a hands-on experience with it. And then there are some challenges. Go into the challenges tab, you will see some of the pre-flash challenges are available and you will be scored. And there are so many of them. Well, that's so much effort I've been put forward by Ivan. So there are some very good learning exercises for you. Then there's a courses section in the environment like computer networking fundamental for DevOps and platform engineer, how and why to use container D from a command line and an alternative introduction to Dagger, understanding the core concept. Then there's a playground button. When you click on it, as Ivan mentioned, you can create your extensive mm, content by just clicking on a button, and that's where you need to go. Or you already want to use the Kubernetes pre-flash based environment. Those already been available for the Linux. There's Rocky Linux as well. That's great news. There's a K0s, K3s, Docker Swarm, Dagger, Tetragon, and bunch of so many other available as well. And if you want to contribute to iximiuz or Ivan for creating such a tremendous experience for the community, you can go into the Premiere pages and select the best plan that work out for you and chat with him and give and really appreciate his work as well. So that is on the website. Everything is available. So make sure you have check out his website as well. And also, before I let you off, Ivan, I think there's something else we need to share that you and a bunch of your friend is working on some container image uh, tool. And can you tell about briefly a little bit what that is and how people can use it?
I'm trying, to keep this platform as a general purpose server-side learning place, like server-side technology learning place. But de facto, let's say 80% of my content is around containers. I even used to have a title on LinkedIn, like a container dude or something, for a few years. Well, that's just my passion. It lays in this area, let's say. So as a collateral, let's say, and complementary project, K8s, the creator of DockerSlim, and myself, we started, let's say, a campaign which is called Good Docker Files. So our, let's say, assumption is that most of the issues with container images out there is not because of the application that is being containerized per se, but rather because the Docker file is poorly structured. And we're trying to actually prove this hypothesis. So we created a place, it's called gooddockerfiles.com. You can go there. We offer a bunch of helpful, I hope, advice how you can improve your Docker files yourself as a self-service kind of tool. But also we offer our hands to review and potentially propose a rewrite for your Docker file. So go to gooddockerfile.com, check it out, and if you like it and you have issues with your container images, they're either too huge or have too many vulnerabilities reported from your scanners, or take a while to pull and launch, submit your Docker file and we will get back to you.
You, Ivan, for sharing this information as well. So once again, as he mentioned, the URL is gooddockerfile.com. What you need to do is you can submit your information and submit your Docker file, and then Ivan and Kyle will to get back to you with some of the optimization that's seeing necessary as well. So this is a very good work because, as he mentioned, rightfully so, a lot of the issues with the application is not related to the application itself, but is a poorly structured Docker file. And it's rightfully so because this technology required extensive knowledge and hands-on experience. That's where you go into the lapdoc iximiuz.com to get a hands-on experience as well. And if you still have some issues, you can go into the gooddockerfile.com and then paste in your file, and then Ivan or Kyle will get back to you with some of the optimization they think necessary that help you in your organization or the project you are working on as well. Ivan, thank you very much. As always, player talking to you as well. So hopefully we get back again when you on another YouTube channel or other places where we can have do some hands-on guide on things we spoke about today as well. Considering there's so much traffic, 100,000 VMs, a lot of money has been poured in to make it a more user experience platform for all of the user out there, and tons of appreciation for all the hard work you do. When I go into the website, sometime it took me, sometime I see, sometime I feel like this is so many people have been involved in the project, but now I know there's only one with such an incredible job to put forward. It's not that easy, so it needs ton of appreciation for that as well. So I look forward to some comments in the YouTube channel as well to see what people feel like to see in the platform, in the playground, and how can we answer. Ivan can answer those queries as well. Ivan, thank you very much. Pleasure talking to
Thank
you
you.
as always. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you for having me, Saim. I appreciate it, and I'm super happy to be back on Cloud Native Islamabad and actually do some hands-on, because hands-on rocks, and like that's how you actually learn.